This world has become a strange hell filled with monsters invulnerable to ordinary weapons. The only hope for humanity is a select few with superpowers. The strongest among them was our MCK. But even he is not almighty. And when he was betrayed by an organization and trapped with dozens of monsters, he died. Fortunately, he regressed back in time too before the apocalypse. After looking around more carefully, he realizes that he has somehow become a baby. As he's trying to figure out what in the world is going on, a slippered foot walks into his room. Kay immediately goes on alert, backing into the corner of his crib as the strange person looms over him. His mind swims with different thoughts as he tries to figure out who this person is, and if they are from the organization. But then the woman leans down with a loving look on her face and greets him as Aiken. It looks like this strange woman is his mother, and she came to check on him once she realized that he was awake. The woman goes back to cooking once she realizes that he's all right. And Kay, who's now Akon, takes a moment to look around. Everything looks peaceful and clean, unlike the world that he's used to. The TV is on and he can hear people moving around outside the house. It also doesn't look like there are any monsters outside. This is clearly an era of peace. And for him to suddenly find himself here as a baby, that means that he must have gotten reincarnated. He is now in another world where the catastrophe didn't happen. And more importantly, there's no organization here. That means for the first time in a truly long time, Achan is going to have a taste of freedom, despite everything he has gone through in his life. The god of fate hasn't abandoned him. This day will always be remembered as the day of new beginnings. He takes a look at the nearest calendar and sees that the year is 2020, meaning that he woke up before the great catastrophe. That's not good, since he can't do anything with his current baby body. He can't even stand up without holding something, and his little limbs are too small to support his body. His throat also feels strange compared to his older body, so he can't talk either. All of that is terrible news for him. Since time is of the essence, there's no time for him to just be a normal baby when the world is about to enter the apocalypse. Akan looks towards his mother and wonders if she is someone he can rely on, instead of relying on her though. Maybe he can just use her like a puppet to achieve his goals. She has to be good for something. Even if she doesn't look too reliable, she's the only adult that he can get access to. Maybe he can just use her like a puppet to achieve his goals. She has to be good for something. Even if she doesn't look too reliable, she's the only adult that he can get access to. She isn't good with her hands either, as she piles an impossible high amount of flour into a bowl while cooking. Neither is she good at cooking, and she almost burns down the house while trying to make breakfast. It's obvious that she can't do anything, but she at least tries her best to take care of her baby, even with her hair roasted by the fire she caused earlier. It already feels like the end of the world, and the future of his new life looks rough. The doorbell rings and his mother goes to answer the door and receive a package that just recently came in. Before she opens the door though, she has to find her wallet so she can pay for the delivery. As she leaves to find her wallet, Akon tries to remember the last time he has heard that word. The last time he remembered hearing about packages was when delivery workers took packages to meet a lot of people. Those delivery workers also happened to be infected, and it ended up being a terrifying situation. As he starts to realize the situation and what that package delivery might really mean, the door slowly opens and a ghoulish voice comes in from the other side, urging him to take the package. As the door fully opens, it's just as Han predicted. The person on the other side is infected, and they have turned into a delivery monster. Achan can't be scared, and even with his baby body, he has to find something to use to defend himself. The only thing available to him is the baby bottle that his mother gave him, and a pillow as well. He grabs the pillow and throws it on the ground, when suddenly the monster launches an attack straight at his head. The powerful blast cuts through the crib, and Achan grabs his bottle before making a quick escape out of the crib and landing on the pillow that he threw to the ground earlier. It doesn't have to be said that if a blast like that touches him, then he's definitely dead. Luckily, he has enough experience with fighting monsters from his past life, and from that experience he knows that there's no way he can beat his current opponent. It looks like an amplified monster, and on top of that, the tentacles on its head look even more dangerous. But another thing he knows is that strong monsters like these are terrible at making tight turns. He tosses his bottle lightly under the monsters, and it trips on it while rushing towards him. flying over his head and crashing through the window. For the first time ever, Akan is actually grateful for all the brutal battles that he went through in his past life. As he's celebrating his victory, a tail sprouts out from his back and rushes out the window after the monster. It reaches the dead body laying on the street and eats up the monster core like a living being. Akan grabs the tail and looks at it as it munches on the monster core. He's familiar with it, since this is the ability he had in his previous life, the Tail of Toad. It's a powerful ability, but he has no idea why he still has it. Even after reincarnating, the great catastrophe is set to happen 4 years in the future, and K in his past life was born 3 years after that. He doesn't know what's going on, but he's incredibly lucky to get this ability out of nowhere. In his past life, he got the ability after absorbing the core of a monster that also had the coyote tail. Another fortunate thing is that the younger someone activates their power, the stronger it will turn out to be. To test it out, he turns his hand into a sharp blade and uses it to strike his crib, bending it instantly. In his past life, he awakened as an S-class when he was 7, but since he has this power as an infant, then he will become the legendary Trip S rank this time. This is his ticket to riches, fame, and beautiful women. In that case, he doesn't need to stick around in this house and play the role of a clueless baby. As he crawls away to start his new life, the crib that he bent earlier starts to fall, and its aim is right on top of him. Achan tries to move out of the way, but his body gives up on him and he's left unable to move. The metal crib eventually cracks and starts to fall to the side. The last thing he sees as his eyes close is his mother desperately rushing to his side as the crib falls. He remembers his past life and his ruthless master that put him through many horrible trials. The man made him do disgusting things like eating dog food to survive. Things like that were to prove that he really is just the organization's dog. Akan grits his teeth, angry at the fact that he is referred to as the organization's dog. He wakes up slowly as the sun starts to shine on his face. It looks like he blacked out after defeating the monster. He slowly pushes himself up and sees his mother sitting close by and writing in a book. It looks like she managed to save him after all. But now the question is why he passed out in the first place. It looks like the power of his ability is too much for his body. He only used it for 30 seconds, and yet it completely wore him out and left him completely defenseless. For now, he needs to get stronger if he wants to be able to handle his powers again. As he's thinking about that, he hears the sounds of his mother crying. He takes a look at the book that she's reading, and it's covered sticky notes. On the page she writes about how she almost lost her treasure. It seems like she's talking about him. There's also a nasty bruise on her back, and it's likely that she got the bruise from protecting him. His mother from his past life would have happily sold him to the organization for a quick profit, and yet this woman risked herself to protect him. He reaches one of his tiny hands to comfort her, and as soon as she feels him touching her, she reaches over and grabs him in a tight hug. It looks like this woman is different from her, and that makes him decide to stay with her for a while. Regardless, there's still not a lot of time, and the world will change in less than a week. The next monster should already be on its way, and he needs to be able to fight for more than 30 seconds if he wants to protect his new home. Outside their apartment, a window cleaner shivers in pain as blue slime seeps out of his eyes, mouth, and nose. The blue slime slips down and enters the drain pipes below him on its way to somewhere specific. As Han is considering his next steps, his mother brings something over to him covered in a red blanket. She removes the blanket to reveal a dog inside a cage for him. She got the dog from their neighbor so that he can have a companion. Achan remembers the dog from his past life. It was a fierce mutt and he never thought he would see it again in this life. On top of that, the dog is way too big to be a baby's playmate. However, this might turn out to be a good thing for Achan. His mother might be a bit ditzy, but it looks like she can be useful sometimes after all. If he trains the dog right, then it can end up becoming a strong ally, and it can even grow into a means of transportation. Having a big dog might not be so bad after all. His mother smiles at the little grin on his face. It looks like she made the right decision, and it at least made him happy. She leaves the two of them to play while she goes to do some more chores around the house. Achan stares the dog down as he wonders what he's going to do with it. For now, he's going to need to feed it first. He gives the dog a sausage from the kitchen and orders it to eat. If he eats it, then Achan will become its master, and the training can begin. Despite the baby's attempt at forming a contract with the dog, it seems like it's too simple-minded to understand what they are doing. As the dog bends down to pick up the sausage, Haechan stomps on his head, showing off the difference in their power dynamic. However, even though the dog doesn't understand what the baby is saying, that doesn't mean that it'll tolerate disrespect. It punches Akon with 2 well-placed paws to the face, sending the baby flying. Then it turns away to enjoy its sausage in peace. He pounces on the dog, and the two of them fight it out, while the mother laughs at their antics. It looks like the two of them have already become friends. As she's cooking, she realizes that she's out of flour. When she bends down to try and find it though, a blue slime monster comes up from the sink and towers over the fighting dog and baby, aiming directly for the oblivious woman who is still trying to find some new flour to use and cook. The slime monster lifts into the air and aims directly for Achan's mother. The dog springs into action and rushes to go for the monster before it can hurt her. It gets there just in time to push her into the sink cupboard before the slime can attack her. Thankfully, the mother doesn't know what's going on. While the slime and the dog fight behind her, Achan watches the whole thing happen with an unimpressed look on his face. The monster is way too weak to cause any real problems, but it'll still be troublesome to deal with. Its liquid makes slashing and stabbing attacks useless, so they have to find another way to deal with it. His mother tries to get herself out of the cupboard, but she's more concerned about the pain in her head, not even realizing the intense battle happening between the dog and the monster behind her. The slime eventually starts to envelop the dog and begins to morph into something different. Achan is going to have to act fast before things get out of control. He remembers from his past battles that the slime monster is weak to dryness, so he has to find something to use to dry it up. He immediately notices his bottle filled with powdered milk and opens it before tossing it at the monster. The slime recoils and shrinks in size before bouncing around the room, losing moisture. Thanks to the milk, sent it into a panic, and it's reacting because of it. Achan takes the opportunity once it stops, moving to trap it under a dustbin. It looks like things have cleared up, and both the dog and his mother peek their heads up from behind the kitchen counter. His mother then accidentally spills flour on the both of them, leaving them more disoriented than they already were. Because of the flour spill, his mother rushes off to go and wash herself off before the flour stains her outfit. Meanwhile, Achan continues to enjoy the thrill of managing to catch a monster. Slimes can be used as a natural monster repellent, which means that if he manages to spread the slime's liquid on the windows, then it can act like a deterrent for any monster attacks that may happen in the future. Suddenly the dustbin starts to shift, and the slime leaps out from under it. Taking advantage of the silence as an opportunity to escape, the dog gets in front of it before it can get too far, and Han rushes over to try and trap it again, but it still manages to slip away this time, completely avoiding getting trapped under the dustbin. Before it leaves, it raises a middle finger at the two of them as it slips out the window. The slime came to their home on its own and caused chaos, and then had the audacity to try and leave on its own. It may be weak, but it's too cocky for both of their likings, and that makes them too angry to allow it to escape freely. Achan grabs a nearby umbrella as a weapon and climbs onto the dog as a trusted. It's time for him to chase after the monster before it gets too far and causes even more trouble. There's no way they can let it escape, so that it can cause more trouble for them or others in the future. They get to the ground floor of the building and see the slime perched on top of a building. It drips its liquid on the head of a girl passing by, and she looks up just in time to see it leaping down and trying to swallow her up. Achan and the dog rush to their rescue as the baby tries to figure out what to do. If he uses his own strength, he definitely won't be able to hold out against the slime, but if they let the monster feed on the girl freely, then the place will end up becoming a sea of blood. That kind of scene is something that Achan has seen enough of in his past life. The dog is just fast enough to reach the girl in time and leap over her, while Achan opens up the umbrella and blocks the rain of slime. Before it can hit the girl, the slime is not deterred, and jumps off the umbrella, this time aiming to attack the dog and baby directly. Since Achan can only use his powers for a short time, he has one shot to use and end the monster in an instant. He shoots an enhanced punch with his powers, blowing through the monster immediately, and destroying it. The slime explodes and rains down on the area completely defeated, while Aiken and the dog stand victorious after the short battle. Thankfully, he was in time to save the girl before she became slime food. But she also saw him use his powers, and she looks terrified. Without wasting a second, the girl takes off sprinting down the road without looking back. It's understandable that she ran away considering the scene that she just witnessed. The more difficult thing to think about is how long it'll take him to clean up this mess. His tail comes out from his diaper and goes to absorb the slime scattered around the street. It looks like the tail has the power to absorb another monster's ability. In his past life, the only way for K to absorb a new ability is if he switches it out with the previous one. However, now the tail is quickly eating up all the scattered slime liquid and turning the power into his own. He tests out the power by forming a slime ball in his hand, and it really does look like the two powers are coexisting. In his past life, K tried his best to make sure that he switched abilities as little as possible, so he wouldn't get caught by the organization that ended up being his downfall at the end. But that doesn't change how strange it is that the tail of Dowie somehow evolved on its own. It could most likely be because of his age. The younger the age of a person when they start developing abilities, the stronger the power of the ability, and the faster the person is able to adapt to it. K became an eligible user for abilities at the age of 10, but everyone younger than him died. Most children can't survive monster toxins, and they all ended up dying as soon as they were exposed to it. But everyone younger than him died. Most children can't survive monster toxins, and they all ended up dying as soon as they were exposed to it, meaning that his growth potential is incalculable. While he was thinking about how to do things, the dog brought him back home safely. He jumps off the back of his trusty steed and uses his new slime powers to coat the area, ensuring that no monsters will be coming to his home anymore. But just doing that alone has already drained him of all energy and left him exhausted. There's no use thinking of getting new abilities or adapting to his current one because his stamina is just way too low for him to be able to do anything with the powers. However, he doesn't need to worry too much about the potential future, since the monsters shouldn't come and disturb them anymore. Thanks to his slime barrier, Achan collapses to the floor in exhaustion, and the dog comes over to him. With a menacing look in his eyes, it looks like it's finally time for the dog to get revenge for that humiliation earlier. The dog leans down and picks Achan up by the scruff of his shirt, and for a moment the baby thinks that he's about to be turned into dog food. Back in the apartment, his mother comes out of the shower, fully cleaned of the flour that poured earlier. She heads to the living room to see how her son is doing, and sees him snuggled up with the dog on the floor. It may look like they are snuggled up, but Achan is struggling fiercely against the weight of the dog on top of him. Hours pass, and the baby is able to free himself from his fluffy prison to get to work on protecting the apartment. He manages to coat the windows and vents, and also the drainage pipes with the special slime. Now, even if a major disaster hits the house, they will be safe for a while. While doing all of that, he was able to figure out the current state of the tail. Apparently it can stock up to 4 abilities at once, unlike in his past life, where he had to swap out one for another. Right now he can use both the coyote tail and his slime powers, but only for about half a minute. In order to prepare for a major disaster, he's going to need to do other things. One of the first things any survivor desperately needs in the apocalypse is supplies. The biggest cause of death after the disaster wasn't even the monsters. It's the starvation caused by disrupted logistics, which eventually led to the desperate scramble for supplies. If someone can manage to stockpile on supplies early on, and avoid the conflict altogether, that person can even create followers, and have people on their side during the most dangerous parts of the disaster. Achan will need to prepare it as soon as possible, but as a baby, there's a limit to what he can do. Supermarkets are crowded, and eventually places will be full of monsters. If even one person gets infected, the disease will spread around rapidly with no hope of slowing down. With his current body, Achan definitely won't be able to handle a large horde alone. But there also aren't many places that he can get supplies from right now, as he's thinking about any other options he might have to get supplies in the future. His mother's phone rings on the living room table. He goes to check who it is, and sees messages coming in from the landlord's group chat. Luckily, her phone isn't locked, so he can easily open it up and see what's going on. The people in the group chat are discussing a weird virus that's spreading around, and how people infected by the virus are becoming monsters. It's clear that they don't yet know the severity of the apocalypse that's coming, and Achin is more than happy to enlighten them a bit about it. He sneakily creates an account and hops into the room, informing people about how a great disaster is coming, and they need to get their supplies before everything goes to chaos. Although he's trying to help them by giving them carefully guided instructions, it's clear that no one believes him. The fact that he doesn't even have a profile yet, since he freshly created the account, also doesn't help his case. There's nothing for him to do as a baby, and online forums aren't much help either. At this rate, all of them will end up dying before the organization even forms. A friend request suddenly comes in on the phone. He accepts the request out of curiosity, and the person on the other end cuts to the chase and tells him that they want to make a deal with him if he is really searching for supplies. The person's username is Hot, and it sounds familiar to the baby. That was the same name of a woman who worked for the organization that was also named Hot. His guess is Spotan, and the person on the other side of the screen is indeed the Hot that he's thinking of. She relaxes against the chair in a room filled with computers and gadgets while texting him. It looks like things are about to get very interesting for her. It's clear that whoever she's talking to is a very cautious person. However, before making any type of deal, they want to hear what her plan is. Talking to them has already become very troublesome, and they've barely spoken any words to each other, so she decides to be direct and make him a proposal in hopes of sealing their deal. She offers to give him all the supplies he wants, whether that be food, water, armor, or whatever else they may need. The only thing that she will place a price on is any information that he needs. That goes for 100 million yen. But for Hot, transportation is also a problem, so she offers to give him the information that he needs if he gives her 20% of the supplies that he collects. Both the tone of her voice and the 100 million yen starting price sound like something more fitting for a grade schooler. Looking at it logically, there's no way that this person he's talking to isn't the Hot he remembers from the organization. He continues relating with her, asking her directly why he should trust anything she says. On top of that, he also asks why he should even agree to the negotiations in the first place. H asks him if he is hoping to become an enemy instead of an ally. She would prefer that they get along, instead of bickering or distrusting each other. The baby agrees and asks to know where the place to pick up the supplies is. She tells him that she put the information in a mailbox at the bottom floor of the apartment building where he lives. The organization hasn't formed yet, which means that Hot isn't an executive of it yet. And despite that, she's still a dangerous woman who uses information to toy with people for her own gain. Once she sets her eyes on her target, she will use every trick she knows to exploit the person to the fullest extent that she can. There's no way she would want to get along with someone that she just started talking to. She just wants to lure him into a trap using information as the bait. This time, however, Ashon is wise to her tricks, and he will be the one to stir things up, not her. He takes a rest first and sleeps for 2 hours. By the time he wakes up, his used-up stamina from earlier is completely recovered, and he's ready to go and get the information he needs. The elevator has security cameras, and he definitely doesn't want to reveal his identity to her so easily. So instead, he turns his attention to the stairs. As he gets there, he realizes that there is one problem with his plan. He is still a baby, and the stairs are much too difficult for him to climb with his current body. In that case, he has to rely on his fluffy companion. He turns to the dog sleeping on the couch, knowing that the pooch is his only hope of getting to that mailbox. Chan goes to wake the dog up by grabbing the dog's tail and dragging it, but the dog is not amused. It slaps Akan away with its tail, sending the little kid flying with a red cheek, and Achin thought that he had managed to tame the beast, but it looks like they are still not on good terms. Achin spots something on the kitchen counter that should be able to help his cause. It's a box of treats, and he should be able to use that to lure the dog into helping him. He pours some of the dog treats in his hands and brings it up to its nose. In a matter of seconds, the dog gets up and agrees to the deal immediately. It looks like, despite its strong face, the mud is actually rather easy to please, with his transportation secured. The next step is getting to the place where Hot dropped the information before his mother wakes up. He rides the dog through the apartment building and eventually reaches where the mailboxes are. Inside one of the mailboxes, there's a pink letter sticking out of it. That's obviously what his target should be. But there's also a camera watching the area as well. It's obvious that H wants to use the camera to confirm his identity. If that happens, then his information will be sold immediately, and he will lose his upper hand. H doesn't mess with people she doesn't know, so Hanchan has to keep his anonymity no matter what. In that case, he just has to throw her off. The baby activates his powers, stretching slim red tendrils around the room, and scanning the surroundings for anything suspicious. Besides the apartment's security camera, he manages to find 3 other hidden cameras most likely installed by her. It's obvious that she desperately wants to expose his identity. Hot laughs in her computer room, eagerly waiting to see what kind of sucker will fall for her trap this time. However, without anyone getting close to the mailbox, she receives a confirmation from the person that she's been speaking to, that he has already collected the information. She desperately looks through the camera footage, but the only thing she sees on the feed is a dog idly standing beside the mailbox. Little does she know that behind the dog is the target of her annoyance. Sneakily trying to read the letter without her knowing, he managed to figure out where the camera's blind spot was, and used his furry companion to hide and read the letter subtly. He grabs the flyer from the mailbox and rushes away without being seen. The flyer points him to a clearance sale deal in a supermarket within the area, and that's most likely where he needs to go. As he reads through the flyer, Hot anxiously blows up his phone asking him to reveal who exactly he is. He taunts her back by telling her that he will reveal his identity if she gives him 100 million yen. That angers Hot even more at the fact that whoever this person is, they are clearly underestimating her, and she wants to make sure that they regret it. She activates a spider surveillance system, hiding within a drain, and orders it to scan the entire building. The spider-looking device is equipped with a camera, as well as being dustproof, waterproof and resistant to temperatures, magnets, high speed and electric shock. The spider makes its way towards Achan and the dog, but it's immediately stomped by a pair of fluffy slippers coming down the stairs behind them. Hot cries out in pain as her 30 million robot is destroyed in a matter of seconds. The person responsible for destroying it is his own mother, and she came down to look for them after not seeing them for a while. Hot cries over the loss of her spider device. But luckily, it seems like the audio function still works. She can hear a female voice on the other, and then she realizes that the call function also works, which means that they should also be able to hear her. She picks up the mic and tries to threaten whoever is on the other end, warning them that they have not won just because they managed to squash her spider. Now that she has heard their voice, she can expose all of their messages and their dark past all over the internet. She continues taunting them, but whoever is on the other end doesn't respond. Instead, they continue talking to someone else, commenting how they are wearing light clothes, and they could get a cold. That's when H realizes that the person on the other end can't hear her, and she's been talking to herself the whole time. On top of that, after doing a bit of research, even with her vast network and connections, she can't seem to find out who the person on the other side is. Whoever they are completely hidden, and she has no idea. Meanwhile, Han gets a free ride back to the apartment from his mother. She scolds him for coming out on his own and tells him how dangerous it is. Meanwhile, the mechanical spider lays crushed on the floor, and it can only be used at 4% capability. Hot eventually reaches out to Achon again, and tells the baby that she will give out the information for free, as well as the supplies. It looks like she has given up already, and it's almost disappointing how easily she gave up despite all the trouble she caused. When they return to the apartment, Ashan is surprisingly let off the hook for running out of the apartment. His mother thinks that the dog opened the door by itself, and that the baby crawled out afterwards while still half asleep. Because of that, he won't be able to use the dog for a while, and it has been tied up to avoid any further instances like these. According to Hot, a warehouse-style supermarket will open soon, which means that she is going to give them supplies from an inventory that she stole from others. For Hot to do that so willingly, she's being rather generous, despite everything. If he's going to gather materials, then he needs to do it sooner rather than later. But first he has to figure out a way to get to the supermarket in the first place. He left a flyer out on the table for his mother to see, but she hasn't even noticed it. There's no way that he can just directly tell her about the end of the world, but he's going to need to do something, as he's trying to figure out what to do. He overhears her talking about how there are only 5 days worth of milk left. That's a perfect opportunity, and he can use that to his advantage. He pushes over the cup of milk on the table and then pretends to still be asleep when she comes over to check the noise. When she goes to clean up the milk, she finally notices the flyer on the table for the supermarket. She picks it up and starts to consider checking it out, and everything goes all according to Achan's plan. The day finally comes for the trip to the warehouse, and she dresses up the baby in pink clothes much to his disappointment. While they are both out, the dog has been left at home with plenty of food to eat. They reach the supermarket, but before she can enter, a security guard rushes over to ask her what she's doing in the area. He tells her that there is an infectious disease going around, and people are supposed to refrain from going around. The mother tries to tell him that she just wants to buy powdered milk for her baby, but the guard is having none of her excuses. He's a government worker, and Akin knows that the government will soon disappear, so they don't have to worry about things like these for long. The guard is only doing this because he has been ordered to, and he tells her that she should go home. As he's talking to her, he doesn't notice the monster stalking up behind him until it puts its hand on the man's head. In an instant, the monster squeezes its hand, and the man's head pops like a bloody balloon. Then it sets its sights on the defenseless mother and child. This monster is a lot larger than anything Han has faced so far, and it's a strong proliferative type, so it doesn't have any particular weak points either. He doesn't want to reveal his strength. But if he doesn't use his power, then both he and his mother will die here. There's no time to waste, and he's about to spring into action. But his mother plucks him out of the stroller and tries to make a run for it. Ashan knows that running away is useless. Since this thing is a whole different species, it's way faster than a human, and his mother has no hope of escaping on foot. As the monster gets closer to them, Ashan notices a case of fire extinguishers on the wall, and then he uses his powers to break the case. It explodes and covers the entire area in gas. The sudden cloud is enough for Ashan to squeeze out of his mother's arms and attack the monster, sending it flying away and crashing into a wall. He has about 30 seconds, and until the dust settles to take care of this monster. In that 30 seconds he is going to need to settle the fight with this monster, before his mother notices what's going on. His mother has passed out because of the sudden attack from the monster, so he has to make sure to take care of everything before she wakes up. Luckily for him, she's unconscious from the earlier impact, but there's no time. The proliferative type has its core in its head. If he can manage to strike its head, then it will definitely die in one hit. However, the monster is still unharmed, even after the strike he gave it earlier. Achin has to make sure to finish off the beast in one blow before it can get back up and hurt him or his mother. There's no shortcuts he can use like all the other times. This time he's going to have to fight it head-on with his own strength. Thankfully he can at least stand this time and doesn't have to crawl around. The monster takes the initiative and jumps towards the child, but Akan is able to dodge out of the way before it can take him down. He then uses his ability to slice up the monster with thin strands of his toad ability. He didn't manage to take out the monster, but he at least managed to make it bleed after that heavy attack. Things don't look so good right now, but Han is sure that the one who is going to win is him. He rushes off to attack the monster again, this time sure that he can at least hold his own against it. Thanks to his small body, he is able to easily dodge most of its attack, and uses the string from his toad ability to swing around its body and wrap around it. Then once he lands, he pulls the string once again, cutting through it instantly. It seems like he has the upper hand, but he still needs to strike the monster in the head to defeat it. Luckily for him, with a body as large as that, it makes it difficult to aim for a fast-moving baby. It also can't use its full strength because of how fast it's forced to move. For the monster, it would be the same as trying to chase a mouse. Eventually Ashan is about to outrun and outsmart the monster perfectly, wearing it down severely until it can barely move. This is all thanks to the experience he has built from battles in his old life. Up till now, thanks to the consistent attacks from the baby, the monster's power has been greatly reduced, and one more hit should be enough to take it down. He can't get too smug though, and although the monster has been severely weakened by the constant attacks, it uses all of its strength to grab one of the spikes from its back and chuck it at the baby with incredible strength. Han is fast enough to dodge the attack, but it still manages to cut deeply into his forehead. He hops away, putting significant distance between him and the monster before it can launch another one of those attacks. If it continues to attack like that, then the baby has no chance of getting closer to finish it off. For now he has to try and think up another strategy like a surprise attack, or he has to find a way to divert its attention. There's no time left either, and he will soon feel the after effects of using the full strength of his powers. For now he might have to run and take his mother away before she gets hurt. As he's still trying to figure out what to do, he notices his mother helplessly looking around back at the ground floor. It looks like his time ran out faster than he anticipated, and now she has woken up, and she's desperately looking for him. As she searches around for him, she comes face to face with the monster and stares up at it in shock. Instead of running though, she reaches into her pocket to get something, and Han desperately yells for her to run away because she definitely won't be able to take on the monster by herself. But as the protagonist's mother, she definitely has some tricks of her own. From her pocket, she pulls out a stun gun and shoots it at the monster, zapping it with intense electricity and causing it to freeze up. It may be unorthodox, but this is exactly the diversion that the baby was looking for. Aiken leaps off the building towards the streets below, right as the monster recovers and swipes at his mother, sending her flying backwards. As she falls to the floor, conveniently looking away from the monster, a cone's descending from the skies with a massive attack, intent on taking out the trash once and for all. The monster looks up just in time to see a baby, with a massive buildup of energy on its leg, coming down at it at high speed. The attack connects right on the monster's head, breaking it apart immediately and killing it instantly. His mother is still on the floor unconscious, as the baby walks up to her to check on her condition. As much as he's not too fond of her yet, it would have been way more dangerous for him if she wasn't there trying to protect him. Not only did she come to try and save him despite the danger, she also risked her life to save him. There's still a lot of training she has to go through before she can be useful to him. But it seems like he can at least trust her, as he thinks that to himself. The after effects of his power come crashing in and he collapses beside her, losing his consciousness as well. When he wakes up again much later, he has a bandage on his head, and a strange red-eyed man is fixing up a new diaper for him. Khan doesn't recognize the strange, and his immediate form of self-defense is to pee on the man to try and scare him away. His mother quickly rushes to apologize, hoping that the strange man doesn't get offended. He wipes the pee off his face, accepting the fact that he most likely just scared the kid, and that's why it happened. He then asks her if she's getting along with the dog, and it looks like his mother is familiar with the man. The man is most likely the former owner of the dog, and he thanks her for taking care of the mute. Han is more concerned about the fact that his mother definitely saw the monster that attacked them earlier, but she's acting as if nothing has happened. Then he notices that his hair is wet. That probably means that she was crying in secret again while he was asleep. The man tells her that they are heading out to stock up on supplies, and invites her to come alone with them. That catches Akin's attention, as he realizes that stocking up on supplies and buying them all out with the help of other people definitely isn't a bad decision. Before he follows along with them though, he still has to retrieve the crystal core from the monster that he defeated. He jumps out of his stroller and hurries over to the monster's remains. Once he uses his toe tail to absorb it, he immediately gains the monster's power. This time it seems to be a hardening skill, and it has already fused to his bloodstream. It's not a bad skill, and now he can use his tail as some sort of shield. But before he crawls back to his stroller, he notices the strange man from before having a call on her phone. He's talking with someone, and they seem to be talking about the fact that he and his mother are both a burden to them. He also reveals that the reason he's bringing both of them along is because in an emergency, they can be used as decoys and at least be a little bit useful. The guy is definitely crazy, and it's clear that he has bad intentions. He tells the person on the other side of the line to take another vehicle and grab more supplies. As Achin listens in on the conversation, he accidentally bumps the truck he's hiding behind, and the man quickly turns around ready to attack anyone that's eavesdropping on him. The man comes up to him, but he's clearly expecting to see someone threatening, and instead sees a little baby, which makes him let his guard down. The man pats Aiken on the head and asks him how he got all the way there. Then he gets back on the phone and tells the person on the other end that the baby heard their conversation, but he doesn't care about it since he's just a baby. On top of that, since Achin is just a baby, killing him won't be a problem. The baby bends his head anxiously after realizing that the guy is completely insane. They all pack into a car and his mother secures him into a child's safety seat at the back. Then they prepare to set up with the man and 3 other people in the car. Han doesn't trust the crazy man to be the driver, but there's nothing he can do about it. If he could at least use his power, then he would be able to crush the crazy man in an instant and prove who is stronger. The others in the car get acquainted, and his mother tries to start a conversation by offering some snacks to the others. It's incredibly strange that these people seem so calm, despite everything that's going on. Hanshan starts to wonder if they have even seen footage of the monsters, and why anyone would even go outside at the moment. The man starts the car and waves to the person at the compound that they are staying at as they leave. John realizes that their lack of awareness is probably a kind of self-defense. After all, even if people see monsters or corpses, it doesn't always mean that the world is ending. All they can do is act normal and try to hide their fear. As they continue to drive through the town, Miss Ling brings out a box of sandwiches to share with everyone in the car. The people in the car are all residents from the apartment building that Achin and his mother are staying at. His mother Ling Yinggu, a resident of room 502. Then there's Denyu, a resident of room 103. And finally, there's Ryuka-san, a resident of room 104. And finally, there's Ryuka-san, a resident of room 104. His mother continues to offer snacks to the others in the car. As they drive to the supermarket, Ryuku-kasan asks his mother how she's managing to raise a child on her own, despite how tough it is. After all, she's young and beautiful, and it doesn't seem like she's working either. It's also dangerous to go outside with a child. His mother originally considered leaving him at home, but she has noticed that whenever Achan is left alone, he starts to act crazy. She had to bring him with her. After giving it a lot of thought, Achan subconsciously tries to tell his mother to stop talking, as she sighs, while thinking of all the chaos that has happened because of her child over the past few days. One of the men at the front is Chin Manaru of room 504. The driver comments that Ling is useful in a fight, especially since she managed to take down a large monster with her taser gun. They also brought the dog as well in the truck that's following them, so they have some extra attack power if anything were to happen. Achan's mother doesn't remember what happened, and she doesn't realize that it's her child who did all the work. As they continue to drive through the town, the driver realizes that something is wrong. There should be more monsters around, but the place is surprisingly empty. Suddenly he notices someone running on the road, clearly looking for help. As she's running through the road looking for somewhere to hide, the wall of a nearby building bursts open, and a hand reaches out for her. Then she is suddenly overrun by several monsters all at once. The driver tells them to hold on tight as he tries to maneuver the car to avoid a collision with the monsters and the girl. The car and the truck both drift to avoid the small crowd of monsters, and they manage to move by safely. The dog barks loudly in the back seat as the monsters crowd over the girl and pull her to the ground. She cries for help as the monsters pile on top of her and attack her. Today has been really hectic from the moment Akin and his mother left their house. They are surrounded by monsters, and Akan takes a moment to analyze the situation they are in. The bug-headed monsters surrounding the car all have sting marks on their necks. The handler of all the monsters must be some type of cyborg. The parasite handlers are parasitic-type monsters, and they have the ability to turn humans into cyborgs. Their power isn't much individually, but in large numbers it's a different story. And as long as the handle runs around, the cyborg monsters will just keep multiplying. The best thing they can do is find a way to escape immediately. The rest of the bug monsters that aren't piling on the poor girl from earlier start coming towards the car to attack those inside. They are way too close for the driver's liking, and in a matter of seconds, one of the monsters manages to break through the windshield. Achan looks around and knows that it's definitely possible for them all to survive this situation, but he needs to drive them off quickly before they become overwhelmingly large. Unfortunately though, he can only use his powers for 30 seconds, and if he wastes all of it here, then it's all over. He looks around the car and wonders if any of the passengers is able to fight. Ryu desperately looks out of the car at the girl who's getting beaten and devoured by the monsters. She cries for the other in the car to stop wasting time and save her. That immediately pisses off Achin as he realizes that she's going to be a burden to them going forward. Instead of trying to figure out a way to help everyone, she's crying for everyone to save her. They might as well leave her because it's not like she's useful in a fight. Shin Minoru tells them that they shouldn't go and save the girl. She already has the same wound as all the other monsters on her neck, meaning that she's most likely already a lost cause. Shin Minoru clearly has sharp eyes, but he's probably too old to be of any use in a battle. but he might at least be strong enough to carry supplies. The driver asks if they should charge into the mess, but if they are going to charge in, then they should deal with the monsters first, before they all get wiped out. Akan doesn't like that idea, because it seems like he's trying to get them all killed. They can't rely on the guy when it really counts. The person driving the truck behind them is most likely the same. Denku picks up a hard object from somewhere in the car, and announces that he will go and help any way he can. He looks like a wimp, but he might also be the kind of character that surprisingly goes berserk out of nowhere. He's trying to say that he's not scared, but it's clear that he's not reliable at all. It looks like there really isn't anyone in the car that can take down the monsters surrounding them. His mother reaches into her bag to get the gun that she was using earlier. Once Den hears that she is going outside with her gun, he decides that he doesn't need to go anymore. As they are all talking, a sharp object suddenly stabs into the car, going straight through Den's chest. Then he suddenly tosses out of the car like a rag doll. Then sharp claws dig into the side of the car, and a different insect monster peacocks its terrifying head into the car, and immediately stabs a claw into Ryu, killing her immediately. It looks like this is the main body of all the cyborgs. It must have been hiding somewhere waiting for the right time to pounce. Since there's no one in the car that's reliable, it looks like the baby is going to have to step up and deal with this situation. Before he can get up though, a sharp stinger heads straight towards his mother. He's not fast enough to stop it before it gets close to her, but instead of the stinger stabbing her, it unexpectedly stabs the car cushion instead. They look to the front of the car to see Shin Minoru unexpectedly holding the monster back. Shin Minoru realizes that this person must be the boss of all the monsters. The monster turns around and tries to stab him in the face, but he grabs the stinger and breaks it instead. It's clear that this man is something else entirely, since he managed to take down the boss of all the monsters with his bare hands. The monster screams as he stabs its own stinger into its neck. Then, as the monster's screams eventually fade, it dies off, and Shinoru drops its dead body off, making it fall down to the street floor. As he wipes the blood off his face, he complains about how old he is becoming. Meanwhile, Aiken looks on in adoration as he realizes that the old man is a total powerhouse. But then he realizes that the fight isn't over yet. The monster on the ground has a second phase, and they can't let their guard down yet. Achan doesn't know who this old man is, but just aiming for the heart isn't enough to kill the monster. Just as he expected, the monster starts to rise up again, and it's clear that it's about to attack again. He doesn't have a voice to talk, so he only has one way to warn the old man before things get bad. He cries out as loud as he can, causing the old man to look behind him and narrowly dodge a sneak attack from the insect monster. The old man has seen this before when he was still in the Special Combat Division. He immediately realizes that the monster won't die by stabbing its heart. That explains why the man seems to be so strong. He worked in the Special Combat Division, and that's why he has training to deal with monsters like these. The man jumps out of the car to attack the monster and bring it down. It looks like it won't die easily from simple methods, so Shin Minoru decides that this time he will use all his energy to crush the monster once and for all. He grabs the monster by its head and slams his knee into its face, causing the skull to crack immediately, just from the little fighting that he's doing. It's obvious that he has refined battle knowledge, and for him to make the decision to go for the head came very quickly. He should have realized sooner that the old man was from the military, and that he has special skills beyond the others in the car. In his past life, when he was the organization's dog, even though the military was already wiped out by the time he started going on, he heard rumors that after the government collapsed, the military became the largest force resisting the monsters. They were the enemies of the organization back then, but among them, there was the Special Combat Division, which worked at the core unit. It seems that they underwent a special training, and they were a thorn in the side of the organization. Thanks to the man's efforts, they can finally go to the supermarket and get the supplies they need. His mother initially suggests that they head home too, but Shinoru immediately shuts the idea down and tells her that if they go home, something else might happen. So they need to keep moving forward. It looks like they finally have a reliable person on their team, but now Achan has to figure out how to get this guy on their side. Maybe he can send out a fake military command, or he can blackmail Hot to make her send some insider info. He can just cling to the man and force him to protect them. Just the thought of using the man for his own personal gain makes the baby grin evilly. As he's thinking of what to do, the man pats him on the head, then he tells Miss Lin to stay close to him with Akin, so he can protect them a little. She immediately agrees, and promises to not be a burden to him, and to follow him diligently. He tells her not to expect too much from him, and he just wants to help them. She thanks the man for his help earlier in taking down that boss monster, but he tells her not to mention it. After all, if Achin hadn't cried earlier, then he would have definitely died from the monster's attack. Then he tells the little baby that the more foolish someone is, the more they desire profit. That almost sounds like he could read the child's mind, and know the selfish thoughts that he had earlier. Achin crosses his arms, and decides to peacefully accept the help from the man. But he knows that Chinoru's personality will end up being his downfall. They finally reach the supermarket that they have been aiming for since the beginning, but the gate is closed. It looks like it's their day off. The ad said that the supermarket would be open, but the place is clearly closed for business. Han is a master hacker, and she probably shut the supermarket remotely. Suddenly the door opens up, and the driver explains to them that he had a friend remotely open the door from somewhere else. As he says that, he smiles and flashes his phone, reminding them that they should remember to thank his friend later. That makes Aishan suspicious, and he sneakily pulls his mother's phone out of her bag to check it. He opens the messages and sees that Hot sent him a message recently, informing him that she saw their car on the security camera and opened the gate for them. That confirms that the driver definitely knows Hot. That makes things a lot more complicated for him, because Hot and the driver are both very suspicious people to him. They eventually enter the supermarket, and Han is just tired now that they have finally reached their destination. The supermarket is huge, and there are a lot of supplies in the warehouse. There are also no cameras in the area, so it looks like the baby doesn't have to worry about being spotted when using his powers. Then he notices that the old man brought a weapon rack with him. That's to be expected of a former Special Combat Division soldier. But now that they are in the supermarket, the man that's been guiding them this entire time has suddenly disappeared. There also doesn't seem to be any staff in the supermarket, so there's no way for them to buy or check out. As they are trying to figure out what they are supposed to do in the warehouse, they hear clapping coming from elsewhere in the building. They look forward and see the man from earlier smiling cheekily and tapping the boxes around him. He declares that everything in the store has already been purchased by his organization,